going to be giving ourselves a little abdomen massage. Now, the abdomen is an area that doesn't get massaged very often. It's not going to be very frequently that you go, hire a massage therapist and they're going to get into your abdomen. The abdomen protects a lot of organs, and so it's a very sensitive area. We can't just take a ball and lay on it and, release this abdomen, right? So we're going to actually be using our fingers for this one, and there are different tools and there are different ways that you can use the balls to get into our core. But for today and for the purpose of this course, I want to focus on just doing a little finger massage, and that's going to give us a lot more biofeedback because we're using our own hands to tap into that area. So with this massage, we're also going to be getting a bit of a lymphatic drainage experience. So if you start to feel, a little bit of gas, if you start to feel maybe a little nauseous, all of this is normal. And also listen to your body and, take it easy, make sure you're breathing, drinking your water. We don't want to push ourselves too far that our body goes into a nervous system response that is a fight or flight mode, right? So take it easy, explore what's going on, and also note how tight your abdomen might be. All right, let's get started. We're going to lay down on our backs. Nice deep breath. Make sure you're relaxed here, right? Shoulders are down, away from the ears. Everything is supported here. So we're living life. We're feeling good. We're going to begin by just walking the fingers up and down. And I want you to start to take note of different points on the body, right? So as we walk our fingers down, we'll find our pelvis, our iliac crest, those hip bones that stick up when we lay down, right? Find that area. And then as we roll up, we're going to find the bottom of our rib cage. Get our fingers underneath it, okay? The closer to the middle of the body you are, the more in the major abdominis muscle group you're going to be targeting. So this upper area here, right before your rib cage comes in and gets into that xiphoid process, we don't want to be getting anywhere near the midline of our body when we're doing this, right? We don't want to get into that space where the abdomen connects, and then that's where we access our organs, okay? So we want to stay to the right side and the left side of our center line. All right, but we are going to be getting quite close to it, especially up here when we're getting underneath our rib cage. And you're going to notice that this is not easy and probably does not feel very good. There is a lot of lymph, so this might be a time or a place where you start to feel like, wow, what was that? And I got my fingers underneath there and suddenly I feel like I need to go to the bathroom, or, you let out a lot of gas, or maybe you feel some bubbling in the guts. So this is all pretty normal and, something to take note of. You're going to be taking those fingers and walking them up and down. If you find an area that's feeling really tender, you want to hold it there. Again, as usual, 30 seconds to 3 minutes in one spot, and then you kind of keep going. All right, just taking note of what's going on. Once you've explored that area and you're feeling really good about that, we're going to walk the hands down and bring it into our psoas, bring it into our pelvic floor, all right? We're going to keep this time, instead of going in towards the center of the body, we're going to go out inside, to the outsides of the body. We're going to find our iliac crest, and then we're going to bring our fingers underneath and into this area. Now, this can be a very tender spot for most people. The goal is to try and get underneath the bone. That can be really hard and challenging. You really have to relax. This is why I want you doing it with your hands, because it's going to give you a lot more feedback of like how hard you can push and how hard you can't push, right? It's a lot harder for you to tickle yourself than it is for someone else to tickle you. That's because you know what you're doing to your body, right? You have a biometric feedback that your brain understands that your hands are scratching your armpit or whatever. So similarly, in this position, you're going to be able to adjust and gauge more consciously and with more awareness how hard to push into this part of the body, whereas somebody else doing this to you may not have that same conscious awareness. And also, you probably wouldn't be able to relax as much. It's a very sensitive area. Not only that, but it's also it's a private area. It's not an area that is touched by others very often. So noticing these spots that are feeling tender, that are feeling, tight, and again, pressing, holding, noticing all the things that we've been talking about. 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And then you can kind of just play around with that whole experience of going to the outsides. You can get to the outsides of the obliques here. We can get into like the center here. There's a lot that we can do in this area. And even just a light abdomen massage after a heavy meal, or if you're having any menstrual symptoms or anything like that, can be really helpful for digestion and for any health ailments. Now, I mentioned briefly earlier, if you have any difficulty accessing the muscle tissue with your fingers, you can use a ball. We also can use different tools that are rounded at the tip. So things like broomsticks, or let's see, what else could we use? There's a tool that looks like a cane, and it's called the TheraCane. That tends to have some really good like hooks on it that can help get into those deeper layers of tissue. Maybe for you, you'll take this ball and you'll roll onto your belly and lay on it a little bit. Again, I want to make sure that if we are tapping in with the ball, that we're, especially with the ball, that we are not getting into that center line of the body, right? So we're not getting up in here, right above the, right in line with the belly button, right? The ball is going to be going to the sides, into the muscle tissue. We don't need to be rearranging our organs with this, which is why I like for people to start with their fingers so that you can really start to understand the anatomy of what's going on inside of you before we start advancing to more challenging techniques, more in-depth techniques like using the ball. And also, if you're having a hard time accessing it and you want to try that, I offer that option to you. Making sure you're doing both sides, noticing what's going on, noticing the thought process that comes up, also noticing, because this area is so sensitive and so filled with so many nerves and lymph and blood vessels and everything, taking note of other things that show up: numbness, tingling, temperature changes, gas, tummy issues, headaches, needing to drink more water. Any of these sort of cues that your body's giving you are worth noting as you roll out, so that you can be in your full conscious awareness of what's happening in your body. Thank you.